Nicole and Sebastian Lopez claim their dream wedding was ruined because his twins weren't there. Linda Ramirez says maybe the wedding shouldn't have been on her birthday. Ms. Ramirez is countersuing for $300.
Mr. and Mrs. Lopez, you are suing Ms. Ramirez, the mother of your twins, Mr. Lopez, because according to you, it's her fault that the twins missed your wedding. I'm so sorry about that. And you are counterclaiming against them $300 for missing a full day of work.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from you, Mr. Lopez.
Your Honor, I'm suing the mother of my twins. I feel that she purposely had them miss our wedding date just because, you know, she's upset, she's jealous of my new wife, and so I'm suing her to recover.
Were you two actually married?
We were not.
Okay. How long were you together?
We were together for about 5 years.
Okay. And did she want to get married, or nobody cared?
Personally, I felt that she did. Her and her family gave me constant pressure.
Okay.
When they were going to ask me to marry her.
How long ago did you and the defendant break up?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago. And how much later did you start dating your co-plaintiff, your spouse?
2.5 years.
All right. And how soon did you decide you were going to get married? How quickly was the decision?
3 years. I'm sorry, 3 months.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you planned the wedding for how far down the road?
About a month.
Okay.
1 to 2 months.
So 4 months after meeting her, you're marrying her. And you wouldn't marry her.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to get the vibe.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So now, the weekend of your wedding happened to be what, Ms. Ramirez?
My birthday weekend when I had the kids.
Okay. Has this been an acrimonious, a bitter divorce, a bitter breakup between you guys?
I would say not until he brought this new woman in his life, because he introduced the kids after only knowing her for a month, and I didn't appreciate that.
Okay. Had you two ever talked about that beforehand, or no?
About bringing new kids around
about bringing a new girlfriend around the kids?
We did.
And what was the discussion you'd had? I mean, had you two agreed that it would have to be a several-month relationship before doing it, or because I don't find people. I happen to agree with you, but I don't think people think things through.
No,
like I don't have faith in humanity thinking things through.
Absolutely.
So
not.
I'm having a hard time thinking you two agreed to that beforehand. But how old are the twins?
They're 6 years old.
And a boy and girl? Boy and a girl. Very efficient. All right, so. He calls you and calls you or texts you? How did he communicate with you?
He texted me.
All right, and he tells you, I'm going to get married. I'm getting married on your birthday weekend. He probably doesn't say it that way. This is the weekend I'm getting married. I know the kids are, in your care. What does he say? Do you have the text between
Yes.
you two? Let me see that.
Actually, no, we don't have the text for that. My mistake. We have the text for something else.
What text do you have? I'd like to see.
We have the text about when I was leading to our...
Okay, let's see those. Let's see those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you are.
Okay, let me ask you this. He texts you and says he wants the children that weekend for his wedding. The wedding was going to be on what? A Sunday?
Sunday, June 4th.
Okay. Out of curiosity, how did it end up being the same day as her birthday weekend that was her weekend and not your weekend?
Both our parents were here from out of the country, visiting, and we just thought that it'd be the right chance for both families to be together and have a good weekend.
Okay. All right. So you reach out to her and you say what?
I told her I was getting married and I knew it was going to be her birthday weekend. I knew her and the girls.
And you did this by text?
I did it by text. I was busy at work.
Oh, so busy that I have to let the woman I wouldn't marry, who's the mother of my twins, know through text that I'm getting married. Dude, seriously? I mean, have a little class, right?
Oh, it's easy when you talk to Siri.
Yeah, I know, it's super easy. You know what's also just because something is easy, it doesn't mean that it's right.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
We didn't make the flight.
Why?
We were late to the flight. There was things that were out of my control. I
Like
did
what?
everything I could to get to the
Well,
flight.
like what? That's a conclusion on your part. I want to see if you did everything you could.
I did.
No, I don't want to hear you repeat yourself. I want to hear why you were late. What caused you to be late?
There was a lot of traffic on the way to the airport.
In my day, if we told somebody I'll meet you under the tree at 3 o'clock, guess where you had to be?
With Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Nicole and Sebastian Lopez, who were suing Linda Ramirez for not bringing his kids to their wedding.
Who broke up with who here, of the two of you?
I broke up with him.
Right, so, but even in that situation, you may think nothing matters to her, but something might matter to her. Had she been good about switching weekends before this at any time, or you'd never asked her before?
We've never asked before.
Okay.
No.
Had she, did you two get along after you split up?
Yeah.
For the most part, yes.
All right, so you ask her and she says, no problem. She had to fly them in from, because you were where? You were on, you flew out for a vacation.
Yes, we flew out for a vacation that I actually rearranged to accommodate him and his wedding trip. And I told him from the beginning that I was changing it as well. I said, okay, I will accommodate you.
So what were you going to do? You were on a vacation.
Yes.
You had taken a trip with the kids, and you were
Yes.
going to come back Saturday night.
Saturday night, yes.
When was your birthday proper? Saturday?
Saturday. And I told him
So the plan is, yes, you can have the kids. I will come back Saturday night, and your wedding will be Sunday. Everything will be fine. That's the plan,
Yes.
right? Okay, what happened?
we didn't make the flight.
Why?
We were late to the flight. There was things that were out of my control. I
Like
did
what?
everything I could to get to the
Well,
flight.
like what? That's a conclusion on your part. I want to see if you did everything you could.
I did.
No, I don't want to hear you repeat yourself. I want to hear why you were late. What caused you to be late?
There was a lot of traffic on the way to the airport.
Was that a surprise?
I don't live in Carlsbad, California, so yes, it was a surprise. I live in Huntsville, Alabama.
Well, had you ever tried to figure out how much traffic there would be? Like, you know, because nowadays you can just put it right into that appendage of your, that other arm, that other hand. You
Where
could
there
just go
were-
like this and it'll tell you how much time it'll take in
There were
traffic.
other things that
In
were
my day, if we told somebody I'll meet you under the tree at 3 o'clock, guess where you had to be at 3 o'clock? Under the tree, you know? But now, there's no reason to be late because you know what traffic will be like. There is an actual app that tells you how long it's going to take you to get there.
Well, we took an Uber to the airport, and there's things that were out of control. One of my kids was having a tantrum. I was dealing with that. We were stuck in traffic, and there was a terrible accident. I could have called him and said, we're not going to make it, but I still had every intention on making that flight.
Okay,
I
so
did my
you missed
best.
the flight by how much?
We missed the flight by about 10 minutes.
Your Honor, if I may, she's
Yeah.
constantly late. That's always been a recurring thing from the beginning of our relationship. It's 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there. It's not a text till 30 to 45 minutes after she's late to say, hey, I'm running behind. So after she had missed that flight, it wasn't until 30 minutes that she called me and said, she texted me, excuse me. And
We
said,
have to take the first flight out tomorrow morning. I'll give you details as soon as I get them. What happened? Call me. Answer my call. Give me a second. I'm trying to figure things out. So did you take the first flight out in the morning?
We tried to, but there were only 2 seats available, and I just did not feel comfortable letting my twins flying by themselves.
Okay. That I don't blame you, but the next flight after that was at what time?
It was at 9 a.m. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
9 a.m.? And then you got back then at what time? Too late for the wedding.
Too late for the wedding.
So your children missed your wedding
Yes, Your
because
Honor.
she didn't make it on time when she said she would.
Yes.
Let me ask you, Ms. Lopez, how is your relationship with her, or you don't have a relationship with her?
I would like to have more of a relationship with her. I come from divorced parents, and so I understand how important it is for children to see a family as a unit, regardless of how we feel about each other. Even if I didn't like her, which isn't the case, I have nothing against her. She's a mother of children that I would love to be a wonderful stepmother to. And so, you know, I've met her a few times during pickups and drop-offs, but it's never been more than like, hey, you know, the twins ate at 12 or, you know, something like that. But other than that, you know,
Have you kind of tried and she's not interested, or?
I feel hesitation on her part. I have tried inviting her. You know, we share the birthdays for the twins, and I've tried, hey, you know, I'm thinking of getting this kind of cake. You know, what else can I help with, etc. And she's like, I got it. Or, you know, she'll ignore my text or leave me on red, or she won't answer my calls, and so I have to go through him. And like he said, he's busy, you know, and you know, if I have the time to do it, I want to, and it's just not
Do you
happening.
have anything against her?
No, I have nothing against his
Good.
wife.
Because let me tell you a couple things, okay? You love your children?
Yes, deeply.
You love your children?
Yes, ma'am.
You love their children?
I love them.
That's the best. What children need is a lot of love. And the more people who love your children, the better. And if someone's going to spend a whole lot of time with your children, you want that person to love your children, right? You don't have to be her best friend. You know, I don't know, you know, you can pick and choose who your friends are. But it is a really good idea for the children if you two at some point are able to be good with each other. And you don't do it because you need another friend. You don't need to go shopping with her and, you know, and paint your nails together or anything. You don't have to have a sleepover. You just do it for the children, right? Because if they feel more love, the more they're loved. And they'll end up loving her and they'll want you to love her. So unless there's some reason not to that I can't glean in this courtroom, because you both seem lovely, hopefully that's the way it will work out.
Coming up.
By the way, did he even acknowledge it was your birthday weekend, or no?
He did not.
Yeah.
He did not.
Smooth. That makes the text even worse. All right.
For the people with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Nicole and Sebastian Lopez, who are suing Linda Ramirez for not bringing his kids to their wedding.
Ms. Ramirez, thanks to you being late, and not making that flight, which the answer to, oh, I couldn't help it, there was traffic, is not that impressive, because really, just leave earlier, because it's kind of important. I get the impression that you felt that this wedding shouldn't be on your weekend, and this wedding shouldn't make you travel on your birthday. And that maybe you had no plan to get them there in time and over to that wedding.
That was not my plan. I even rescheduled our mommy and twin trip. And I even tried to get us out the next morning. I did try.
So
my
why
best.
don't you owe them? They're suing for, can I see the receipt for the rental?
Thank you.
They're suing for the cost of the little tuxedo and the little white dress and the dress shoes for the rental costs, which came out to $543.91. They're not suing for $10,000 in emotional pain and suffering. They're suing just for what they couldn't even use thanks to not making the flight. What's your response to that?
It was not my wedding, and I should have no part in contributing to it, and it was not my fault.
Here's where the problem lies, okay? If he calls you or texts you and says, I'm getting married, it's this weekend, it's your weekend. By the way, did he even acknowledge it was your birthday weekend, or no?
He did not.
Yeah.
He did not.
Smooth. That makes the text even worse. All right.
Coming up.
You keep saying, oh, it's not my fault. Do you have a shred of proof in your possession that there was some horrible 10-car accident on the highway? Because you're late a lot. So do you have any evidence of why you were late?
Closed. This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Nicole and Sebastian Lopez, who are suing Linda Ramirez for not bringing his kids to their wedding.
You have to pick a lane, girl. You're either going to say, no, it's my weekend, which I don't advise, but I'm just saying. Or you're going to say, yes, I'm going to get them back for your wedding. And when you pick a lane, you got to stay in your lane, you see? He could go to court and tell, you know, a judge, was there ever a family case between you guys, or it's never even reached that part?
No, it's never got to that
Right,
point.
so
Never
the
got to that
agreement that
point.
you talk about, my weekend, your weekend, is just your self-imposed one. All right, so if you say, no, I'm not going to give them to you, he could create a family case, and he could ask a judge to intervene. That's what family court is there for. But he doesn't think he has to because you agreed. You did the right, correct, nice thing and said, all right, you know, hey, you're inconveniencing me, but I'll do it, you know. That's called a promise. Not a contract, but a promise, okay? But now, based on your promise, that side gave up certain things. One, going to a court of law to enforce it. Two, they went out and spent money on little costumes for the kid, little costumes
Outfits.
for the kids, wedding clothes for the kids, and wedding shoes for the kids. Based on your promise, okay? So now they're in court, and you're like, this isn't my wedding. What should I have to pay for it? I didn't obligate myself to pay for it. No, you're right. You don't have a contractual obligation to pay for it, but there's a concept in the law called promissory estoppel. And that means that in this world, when you say something to someone and they go out and detrimentally rely on you, on what you said, and spend money, and it's foreseeable that they're going to spend money and do certain things based on your promise, you got to keep your promise. And if you don't, you may be liable to them for what they're out based on you breaking your promise.
Judge Milian's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consider with Judge Milian.
You keep saying, oh, it's not my fault. Do you have a shred of proof in your possession that there was some horrible 10-car accident on the highway? Because evidence kind of, you know, your prior behavior is that you're late a lot. So do you have any evidence of why you were late? Anything other than your flapping gums? Just your gums, right? Okay. Try harder. If it's important to you, you would have tried harder. I don't think you tried as hard as you could, because I think that it really bothered you that it was your birthday weekend and it was your weekend with the kids. But you don't get to choose both lanes. You're either going to be the good guy who says yes, or you're going to be the person who arrives at the airport 2 hours before a domestic flight. Pick, okay? I am ruling in your favor in the amount of the $543.91 that the rental cost you. Your counterclaim for, I guess, wasting a day of work today to come to court, 0. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the co-plaintiffs. The defendant owes $543.91.
At the end of the day, I think the judge made the right choice.
Carol Locks claims her tenant constantly set off her security alarm, which resulted in expensive fines. Robbie Lopez says Ms. Locks refused to give him the correct code, so it's not his fault he kept triggering the alarm.
All right, Ms. Locks, you are suing Mr. Lopez for $1,500 that you say he has to pay as your tenant or former tenant,
Yes.
because he set off the alarms and caused you to obtain some fines.
Yes.
How did it come about that he was living in your home?
Well, first of all, a friend of mine told me that, she's a good friend of mine actually, and she told me that she knew of this boy who was living with his parents. They were having a few problems with him, okay? And could he possibly come and live with me?
Oh, nothing entices me to have someone move in other than to hear that they're having problems
exactly.
where they live.
Yeah, but you're not me though, and let me
Okay.
explain to you, okay?
Because
Yes,
it's not
I
true.
am not. But
Okay.
Go ahead,
Because it's
go
not
ahead.
true.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Okay, yeah, because I have 2 sons, okay?
Okay.
And they were problematic as well, okay?
So this is your mission, kind of.
Boy, you've got it.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's my
I still
mission.
wouldn't do it, but I applaud you.
No, it's
and
my
so have you
mission.
done this before?
No, I've never done this before.
Oh, it didn't
I've
work
never
out
been
so well.
asked to do this before.
Okay. All right, so he moves in, and how long is he living? How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay, how long is he living with you?
He's been living with me for about a year.
Okay, and tell me about the alarms. What was going on?
Well, the alarms, he was setting the alarms. He was setting them off. They
Setting
went
them off how?
Well, I don't know. He got the code wrong or something. I don't know what he was doing.
Was the code the same the whole year?
No, I changed it. And there were reasons that I had to change it. Because,
Why did you change it?
Well, you know, I provided him with a bunch of rules that he had to follow in order to be able to stay with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have those rules with you?
I don't have them with
Do
me.
you have those rules with
I
you?
do.
He
Can I
does.
see them?
Thank you.
If you do sit on the couch or chairs, please fluff the cushions after use. Avoid use of lights if natural light is substantial enough. Unplug all appliances when leaving the house. Every day? Every time he leaves the house, he unplugs
Well,
all
yeah,
the...
I don't want to have to pay extra money.
Okay, so she says that the alarm kept going off and that it was your fault. What say you to that?
Well, I just think she's wrong. She changes the code a lot, and the times that it did go off was because she changed the code
without telling
me.
Would you tell him every time you change the code?
Okay, well, what I did tell him once, and a few of the other times, what I did was I got a sticky note and I put it on his door, and I gave him the new code there, so we would have it when he left the house, and he could see that there was a new
But if
code.
he opens the door and walks out, he may not turn around to look at the door where you left it on. How about just some communication?
Well,
do you text at all or no?
No, I'm not really
that's
that
fine.
adept at
So,
texting.
but I mean, it seems you're living in the same house. How big?
Right.
You know, so don't you see each other?
Yeah, I did tell him. I think a couple of times I told you.
But you're not sure?
I think it was at least a couple of times.
Well, but I mean, you have to tell him each time you change it. Otherwise, the alarm is going to go off. He's not going to know what to do. What would you do when the alarm would go off? What would you do?
So there's really not much you can do. I would call her, and normally the protocol would be she uses the code to turn it off, to disable the alarm. But there are some times where she doesn't even answer her phone, and I'm just left to just let it ring until
No,
she
that's got to
does
bother
notice
the
it.
neighbors.
It does, yeah.
Jeez.
But don't you think after the first time, he would have realized that he has to always check with me to see what the code is? Because the only reason
I think if you change the code, it's up to you to tell him that you changed the code. He can't assume every day while he's too busy unplugging every appliance and television set. He can't come to, oh, by the way, did you change the code? That's really something that you have to tell him when you change it, and you have to communicate it to him effectively, because otherwise, can I see, were you being fined by the city?
Oh, you bet I was.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
Do you have those?
Thank you.
One of the reasons that I kept changing it was because he proved to be very, very negligent. He wouldn't do a lot of the things that he signed and said that he would do. He didn't unplug the appliances. He didn't fluff the pillows. You know, there are a lot of things that he signed and said he was
how
going to
does
do.
changing the alarm code help that?
Because I have to trust him. You know, how can I trust a guy who keeps doing things like that? He signed it, and he's not doing what he said he was going to do.
Right, but if you're going to change the alarm code, and because you don't trust him, then you don't give him the code and you tell him to get out.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
Hopefully he
So
would get
maybe
the
you're
idea.
changing the code and not giving it to him because you don't trust him.
Well, no.
And later,
I didn't want to waste our trip like that. I didn't want to spend our first day
Wait a
chilling
second,
in
sorry.
the
Are
hotel.
you saying that sitting with a daiquiri by the pool is a waste? Because
No,
I
not-
beg to differ.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case in, we're back with the case of Carol Locks, who blames Robbie Lopez for always triggering her home security system.
You expect him to know the code, so changing the code doesn't help with what you're saying.
Well, no, I just wanted to make sure that he didn't give the code to anybody else.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
Oh, so you were worried because he wasn't following some rules, you were worried he might be giving, but it doesn't matter because the minute you give him the code, he can give it to somebody else again.
No, I know, but hopefully he
So
would get
maybe
the
you're
idea.
changing the code and not giving it to him because you don't trust him.
Well, no. I said no.
You may say your voice says no, but my brain says yes.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the only thing to do if you don't trust somebody. You don't necessarily want them in and out
I didn't trust him as fully as I would have liked to have trusted him, okay?
He lived there a long time for the situation to be that bad.
Well, because I'm such a nice woman.
Okay.
You know, I gave him a real shot.
Okay.
You know, because I saw what
How
happened
did you
with my
end up
sons.
leaving finally? Under what circumstances?
It just became too much.
Is that possible?
Did she demand the money for the fines
Until after the fact, yeah.
after you moved out?
Yeah.
Were you helpful?
I think I was helpful. I always paid rent on time.
Well, you're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
You don't get a cookie for that.
Hello.
But did you lift heavy stuff?
I would help her out with.
Did you
with
put out
some
the garbage
household-
for her? Did you?
Yes.
You
I did.
know, like how else would you help her out?
Well, I mean, I guess it was also part of her strict house rules, but it was everything from the garbage to cleaning up, at least 3 times a week.
Okay. Who's the lady with you?
She's my witness. She's the neighbor to Miss Locks.
She's your neighbor?
No, she's a witness. Yes, she is my neighbor. And he would take her garbage out.
Okay.
Huh. And now
Step on
she's
up.
showing up to stand
I
up
was just
for him.
helping out. I was.
So how long have you lived there?
14 years.
All right. And how long have you known Ms. Locks?
The whole time.
Okay.
She was there first.
And are you friendly with each other?
We're friendly enough.
We used to
what
be
is-
friendlier.
What does that mean, friendly enough? Like hi bye? Was there a problem between you two or no?
No, there was not a problem. She's just a little persnickety.
Persnickety. Okay. Anything else or?
You know, I just try and keep things polite.
Okay. So what he asked you to be a witness for him. What is it you're testifying to that will help me decide this case?
So the alarms, they do go off periodically on the house, and
Was that happening before he got there?
It was.
So I noticed through looking at this paperwork that they dismiss a bunch of them for you. Like,
Yeah.
How many did
Goodness.
they? Yeah, they dismissed how many?
They dismissed 3 of them.
And then that leaves how many others? 5 others?
Yes.
All right, and that's a lot of alarms going off.
That's a lot. It's $1,500
No,
worth.
and it's not just an alarm going off. It's an alarm going off long enough for a neighbor to pick up the phone, call the police, and the police to report. Mm-hmm. That's alarms going off a lot.
That's right.
Okay, well, one way to not have that happen is to stop changing the code so that he doesn't come home to a changed code that nobody communicated to him.
But I didn't. I changed the code on occasion.
How often would you change the code?
Maybe once every couple of weeks.
Really? Okay.
Well, one time, you won't believe this. One time, he shows up. He's not even there, and there's this strange woman just standing in my house.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
What did she say to that when you asked her, who are you?
She said that he was out there, like, locking up the car.
Okay.
But, my fear when I walk in and I see this woman I've never seen before standing in my house.
I don't think you should rent a room to a 22-year-old college student.
No, well,
if that shocks you and scares you, you need to live alone and not have, the hassle of having somebody else
I
there.
just thought I was doing a good thing.
I understand, and that's lovely, but the truth of the matter is that you've come to court and you're suing him and you want him to fork over all this money because the alarm went off, and the alarm went off because you kept changing the code and you've admitted to not really communicating that to him. So I don't think I'm going to make him pay you. And I'm sorry, and it's lovely that you were doing a good thing. Let's not mistake this either. He was also paying how much for a room?
$800.
Okay. And that's helpful. Obviously, but when you're the plaintiff in a lawsuit, you have the burden of proof, and what that means is you have to prove to me that it is more likely than not his fault that these alarms stayed on to the point where, people, that means he's forgetting the code, not he's trying to reach you, can't reach you, and you've changed the code yet again. And honestly, I don't know whose fault it is. Because based on what I'm hearing, it could be his, it could be yours. It might more likely than not be yours and not his. But I can't tell, and if I can't tell, then you haven't proven your case. Verdict for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
He signed the document that I gave him, and he signed it saying that he was going to keep up with everything that he had signed. So, of course, I didn't trust him, and of course, I had to change the codes.
I'm just really happy about the decision, and I still have a lot of respect for Miss Locks for having me in her house.
Coming up.
She had a whole schedule planned out.
Right. Had you ever traveled with each other?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. That's kind of when I would decide I'm going to keep dating this guy or I'm not.
Closed is justice for the people with Judge Milian. Sheila Jefferson claims her former friend should help pay for the damage to a rental car they shared on vacation. Tanya Whitaker says she wasn't driving, so it's not her problem.
Okay, Ms. Jefferson, you are suing what I take to be your former friend, Ms. Whitaker, for half of your deductible and your insurance because while you were on vacation agreeing to split the costs, there was an accident. Tell me about the vacation. You two had planned to take a vacation together to where?
Atlanta.
All right.
We were celebrating our graduation.
Okay. From?
Nursing school?
Wonderful. All right. So you go to Atlanta, and the idea is that you're going to split everything, correct?
Yes.
All right.
As soon as we touched down, I was the first one driving, and I drove us to our hotel to check in.
Had anybody talked about who would do the driving?
No, it wasn't a full discussion, but we had assumed
Did you,
that it would
when
be
you
50.
rented the car, you split the cost of the car?
Yes. When we get to our hotel, initially, as soon as we open the door, she chooses what bed she wants first. I was the one who booked the whole trip and planned everything, and she just barged in and made the room her own, didn't talk to me about anything that had happened.
And then what happens? What else does she do?
We were late to most events that we wanted to go to, and I would give her a time frame, like we should start getting ready at this time. Would she get ready at that time? No, she wouldn't.
Okay.
And
She had a whole schedule planned out. Like,
right. Had you ever traveled with each other?
no.
No.
It
Yeah,
was our first
that's
trip.
kind of a thing. That's kind of when I would decide I'm going to keep dating this guy or I'm not. You know, because if you know, so there's different traveling styles. Some people are, and some people are, I just want to sit with a daiquiri by the pool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I didn't want to waste our trip like that. I didn't want to spend our first day
Oh, I don't.
just
Wait a
chilling
second.
in
Sorry.
the
Are you saying
hotel.
that sitting with a daiquiri by the pool is a waste? Because
No,
I
not-
beg to differ. But no, I understand that. I know what you're saying, and I'm a planner too, and I understand what you're saying.
Coming up,
Had you said to her at any point in time, "Will you please drive"?
No, she didn't say that. 'cause
Was I talking?
Jefferson and her former friend Tanya Whitaker over who should pay for a damaged rental car.
The day of the accident, how many days into the vacation was it?
This is our second day.
Okay. And had you said to her at any point in time, "Will you please drive"?
No, she didn't say that. 'cause
Was I talking to you?
She-
Okay.
she just
no,
wants to-
no. I wasn't talking to you. I was asking her what she said. I want to hear from her. Did you ever say to her, "It's your turn to drive"?
No, because I didn't want to seem too pushy in that.
But why is
sense.
that? Okay, where does someone go wrong with us where we think that communication and explaining our needs means we're pushy? Like you're trying to not be pushy when you clearly had a need to also enjoy yourself. So
Yeah.
you don't have to say, you know, "You jerk, why aren't you driving?" And you didn't, and then what ends up happening?
Well, we had gone to the club, and we're leaving around closing time, around 3 a.m. She's complaining that her feet hurt, and so we get to our parking spot, and it's a really confined space. And so as we're squeezing into the car,
I wanted the valet part.
No one is talking to you. Go on.
I'm backing out of our parking spot, and there's a cement column right behind the vehicle. I think I just overcorrected a bit and bumped into it.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the car, the damage? May I see it? The concrete. She hits a concrete pillar, and what does everybody say?
Thank you.
We got out the car, and I walked on the back, and all I could say was like, "Wow!" I didn't expect there to be that much damage. I thought it was just going to be like a small scrape.
Judge Milian's verdict. When justice for the people. This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian.
Here's the thing. Your agreement is to split everything 50-50, but it's everything that's foreseeable. The expenses of the car, gasoline, parking maybe, the rental. It is not if you have a negligent moment. That is your negligent moment. It is not her negligent moment. But at the end of the day, you were the person who was driving who had a little accident that ended up costing a bunch of money. How is it her fault? That's not an expense that she expected to split with you, okay? But my verdict is for the defendant. That's the legally correct answer and ruling, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim.
たハンバーグよ。
やった
ー。すごいねその道具。どうやって消してるの？
それはね、光には人の目に見える光と見えない光があるんだ。この道具はその光の性質を利用してあれ。最後まで説明を聞け。
面白い道具だな。こっちも。あっちも。
どこに行ったんだ、のび太くん。
膝が痛い。
チップをくれ。
うちはピザ屋です。
すみません。酸っぱいファミリーの最新刊ありますか？
数学の参考書を。
お料理のレシピ本を。うちは本屋じゃありません。
カバだ。おじさんカバなの？
誰がカバだ。
のび太くんの仕業だな。
あ、しずかちゃん。
のび太さん。
うわー、かわいいね。
新しいお洋服なの。買ってもらったばっかりなのに。
そうだ、僕に任せて。
汚れが。
全部消したよ。
ありがとう。
そうだ。さあさあ、汚れでも落書きでもどんどん消しちゃうよ。
何でも消すって？本当かよ。絨毯のシミも消せるのか？
お安いご用だよ。
うちの絨毯にジュースをこぼしちゃってさ、お母さんにバレる前に消してくれるか？
任せなさい。
近所の塀に落書きしちゃったんだ。それも消せる？
もちろん。
私も。
はいはい、押さないで。順番に順番に。
助かったよ。すげ
え。次の注文はぬいぐるみのパンダを白クマにしと。
のび太。何でも消してくれるって本当か？
まあね。
実は、ノートにジャイアンの悪口を書いていたんだけど。傑作だ。取っておこう。
宿題移させてもらうぜ。
ジャイアンに貸しちゃったの？
だから今すぐ消してくれ。
そう言われてもまだこんなに注文が。ここからじゃ狙えない。
だったらあそこは。
楽ちん。
よし、バッチリ見える。
チャンスは一度きりだ。ジャイアンが落書きのページを開く一瞬。
どのページ？
あと5ページ。4、3、2。
眩しいな。
カーテンに隠れてノートが見えない。
もう僕はおしまいだ。
いけねえ。配達の時間。母ちゃんと約束してたんだった。
今だ。
どこへ行ったんだ？あら、ドラちゃん。静香ちゃん。